Hello, and thank you for watching the show. I'm Laura McLaughlin, and I'm joined once again by psychologist and relationship expert Dr. Debra Mandel. Now, in the first interview, we focused on singles who are grappling with intimate relationship issues. So, in this interview, I wanted to focus on couples who are dealing with their intimate relationship issues. It seems as though intimate relationships are a big topic.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you for coming back.
You bet. I'm happy to be here.
What kind of issues do you see couples coming to you for?
So many, because relationships are so complicated. But I would say some of the primary ones would be lack of communication or conflicted communication, sex or lack thereof, money issues, and general losing interest in each other or not finding that they have as much in common as they once thought and maybe growing apart.
I've seen that a lot in people who've been together for a while. Can you give some tips on people who might be dealing with that, wanting to get more romance in their lives or become closer, rediscover that intimacy?
Well, I think for one, it's really important for the couple to be on the same page. What's really challenging is if one person notices that things are off or aren't really working well, and the other one just puts the head in the sand and says, everything's fine. What are you complaining about? Everything's fine. No, everything's not fine. If I'm not fine, then we're not fine. So being able to really identify what the issues are in the relationship and making an effort together to find solutions. I really don't believe in dwelling too much on how the relationship got to that place. I mean, that's important too, but it's also really important to focus a good chunk of the energy on how are you going to change that? What's your motivation to change? What needs to be changed? And what are you actually capable of changing? Because a lot of people will make promises. They'll think that they're able to do something, but they really don't have the investment or the time or the interest in making that kind of a personality change, if you will.
Right, right. So I see a lot of couples who are dwelling on the past. So you do not recommend that?
Not dwelling. I think it's important to clear out resentments. And
Okay.
resentments are basically what we create when we have expectations that fell apart. But a lot of times a lot of times resentments are our own problem because we created expectations we never signed on the dotted line with our partner. So they're behavioral contracts unconsciously that we just determined that our partner should be behaving in such a way, and when they don't, we get angry, we get upset, but the partner may say, I never said I would do that. I never promised you a rose garden.
Yeah.
Right?
And so would you say that you help couples set more realistic expectations for each
Yeah.
other?
And communicate what those are, right? I think it's reasonable if you make a deal with your partner that on Sunday nights is our sacred time as a couple, and we have dinner together and we spend the evening together starting at 5 o'clock. And your partner says, I'm in. That's good. Let's do that. And then, every third week or fourth week or second week, one of them says, you know what, I made other plans with someone else and I won't be there. That would be reasonable to be disappointed because that was actually an agreement.
So, and it was a spoken agreement where I find a lot of couples start mind reading.
Oh, yeah.
Especially
or thinking they can mind read.
Yeah, or thinking they can mind read. That's a good one, too.
Right.
I never said that,
Yeah,
So you see that happen a lot in long-term relationships?
absolutely. Absolutely. So if you had asked, what can people do to sort of spruce up their relationship? Once they have identified what the issues are, I think it's important to define the categories that need improvement. Some couples have lost an interest in playing together. And I say couples who play together stay together because playing is such an important part of our downtime, our feeling safe, our feeling connected. You go watch a movie with your partner and you both enjoy it and you both laugh. Some people report that they have a greater sense of love after that. Some research actually demonstrates that when people enjoy an event or an activity together, they report feelings of greater love.
Interesting. So would you also recommend engaging in more shared activities with each other if
I
you're
do.
feeling like you're moving apart?
Yeah, there's 3 kinds of play. There's solitary play. I'm doing it on my own. There's parallel play. You know what? You do your thing, I'll do my thing, but we'll hold hands in between. And there's interactive play. What we're doing right now is interactive play. We're communicating, we're reading each other's signals, we're talking, we're identifying. That's interactive. That's a shared experience that we're both having at the same time. So it's important to have all of those. Sometimes people have expectations they should always be interacting. It's too much pressure. And some people are just so comfortable in isolation because they want to avoid conflict. They don't want to engage in something that might be cause a disruption in their lives. So they isolate. So couples get drawn apart that way, and then they lose a sense of being connected.
Right, right. What do you say about infidelity? I've worked with couples where one person has had an affair, and they always come in asking, "Is there any hope for us? What do you see people who are successful get through this?" So, what do you say to that?
I've helped many couples with infidelity because it is possible, but it does require a serious commitment to a therapeutic process that is sometimes long-term to really understand that an affair is generally not something that occurs in a vacuum. So helping the partner who was cheated on also understand that they have to make changes in the relationship as well, that's the tedious part, because a lot of times they just want to annihilate the partner who cheated. You're bad, you're bad, you're bad. Shame them, humiliate them, and punish them over and over again. Okay, the event has occurred. Now, is that partner willing to absolutely break off all ties with the affair? Like 100%. Can they, if they haven't already, then they do that closure with that person in front of their partner. So that partner gets to really see that I'm just going to say it's the husband, that the husband means business. He's really going to end this. And then he has to understand that he has to be as transparent as possible for months and months and months. And that's often offensive to people because I'm not doing it anymore. I want my privacy.
What do you consider transparency? Because there's always a discussion about that.
Location on the phone, being able to read and access text messages, emails at any time, phone records. So the partner gets a sense that you mean it. You really want to heal with me.
Right.
The partner who's cheated on needs to make a commitment to not continue to harass about what has already happened. You have to have a breathing time to be able to speak about and really be able to express and get a partner to be able to be empathetic and compassionate to the damage they've created, to the consequences.
And the partner probably cannot be empathetic if they're met with anger and
True.
resentment, right?
Absolutely. So true. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. A soft voice and actually talking about, look, when this occurred, I interpreted that to mean blah, blah, and I feel this about it. That's an I statement. That's saying this is the impact on me, as opposed to, you're a lousy son of a bitch. Can I say that on
Sure.
YouTube? Okay.
No, it's my
Instead
show.
of saying, you're a lousy son of a bitch, or saying hateful things.
Yeah.
So it also requires the one who was cheated on to also be able to deliver empathy. My husband was hurting so badly at the loss of our communication because I was snubbing him. I spent more time with my friends and I neglected him because I was angry at him because he wasn't doing things my way. Oh, okay. Well, now you understand how he felt. He felt distance.
Mm-hmm. That's yeah, and sometimes is that the impetus for an affair, the feeling of being distant? Some people think it's just a sexual thing.
I was going to say, more often than not, an affair has very little to do with sex. Sure, a lot of times affairs occur because there is no sex in the relationship, so the sex is a perk. But oftentimes it's really about trying to seek out some emotional connection. When you first meet somebody and you fall in love, there's that courting period. You're both so interested in what each other has to say.
Yeah.
10 years down the line, you're rolling your eyes, especially when you're at a dinner party and he's saying the same shit over and over again.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, bored, right? So you meet someone new and she's goo-goo-eyed over you. Oh, you're so great. You're so wonderful. So it perks up the ego. It feels so good. And that's like a drug, right?
Yeah, good point.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. It really feeds that ego and they feel that high
Right.
again.
And then even if they start to feel guilty and they recognize what they're doing is not good and it's going to cause more damage, it could be, if they get found out, it could be devastating. They could lose everything. It's so addictive to have that feeling of elation with someone, or euphoria when you're first really connecting and everybody is just eye to eye and everything feels so yummy.
So that addiction to that high would be probably an indication of someone who's a serial cheater, let's say.
Often so. A lot of times people will cheat if it becomes the norm and they get away with it, then they'll just keep doing it.
Are there any elements of a couple that would indicate a successful rebuilding of trust? Is there something specific that you know about?
I think the signs are what I said about being empathetic, recognizing responsibility, recognizing that the partner who is cheated on also has some responsibility. I would say, more importantly, the signs I see that say I wouldn't even touch this one with a 10-foot pole and you ought to just call it quits now is somebody who's in constant denial, who's continuing to lie about it, who's very narcissistic, who believes that they're entitled to have soirees on the side,
Right.
makes the partner feel bad for who they are and that somehow blaming the partner entirely. Those would be signs that it's not going to, or somebody's who's so restricted in their willingness to share and invite their partner to know fully about their lives right now.
Now, I got to ask you, have you ever called it quits for someone? I know sometimes I have a little thought bubble in my sessions going, oh boy, they're in for it. But, you let them call it.
I have actually boldly said to a couple, this is just not going to work. And you ought to save each other time and money and just part ways.
Good for you.
Because this is not going to work.
Oh, wow.
Usually they fire me on the spot.
And then they come back and go, you know what? You motivated us to change.
That can happen, right?
Sometimes that can happen.
Yeah. Or, because it make the therapist the bad one.
There you go.
She's not helping us. She's out to get us. But other times they take it seriously and they say, you know what? Maybe you're right.
Mm-hmm. So how long would you say it takes for people to build up trust?
If there are no other incidents
Mm-hmm.
and no other regressions, then I would say 6 months to a year, depending on how long and why the affair occurred.
Okay. All right. So that's
So
good
it's
information.
manageable.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with addiction, right? You have to be sober for a year before the brain actually changes, where you can actually process the world as it is in front of you.
Oh, so this is partly a brain issue, kind of
Yeah.
coming off of that high.
Yeah.
Another question we find are online affairs.
Rampant. 'Cause
Do we consider those affairs?
I do.
Okay.
I do, because the affairs of the heart can be just as damaging, if not more so.
Okay, so when someone comes into you and one partner's saying, oh, well, that doesn't matter. I never was physical with that person. You say no.
No, I say no. I even consider pornography that's not out in the open to be an affair.
Okay. Good to know, because that is rampant in our society.
Unbelievably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of porn addicts, and the people who suffer are those in their lives who are trying to have a relationship with them.
Right.
And it's near impossible.
Well, it also changes the brain. It makes regular old sex with a regular old person boring.
We don't want that.
No.
Yeah, that's kind of...
And that's actually a selling point for a porn addict. Do you realize that you're changing your ability to be able to enjoy pleasure in the way you once were able to enjoy? What a deprivation you're providing for yourself. You think you're giving yourself an indulgence, but you're actually stripping away your life energy about regular, wonderful attraction with a real human being.
Wow, what a great motivation.
Pisses them off.
Sometimes you have
But-
to do that with your clients.
They get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, thank you for... I could talk to you forever. I think I could do about 20 interviews with you.
Well, we'll do another sometime.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Again.
It's so
All
lovely
right.
to see you.
You too.